Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to Trail Talk. I'm so glad you could join us today. I'm very excited to introduce our guest. This is Stephanie Morcom. So she may be a familiar face to many of you. Stephanie spent, I guess, teenage years and beyond here in Duncan. Graduated from Duncan High School
in 2000.
In 2000, okay. And so Stephanie is kind of a fixture around this area.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and that's in a good way, a really good way. She's a very big helper in our community, and you work for a couple of organizations.
Yes,
is that right? I know I can never remember the name.
Ambrosia. I think that might be a salad. I think there's a
there's yes, and maybe like a singing group from the 70s or something. I don't know.
So yes, I work for Ambrosia Treatment Center, and I do outreach. And I'll just tell everyone this because I get asked it a lot. They're always, so a lot of organizations or just community members call me for help, whether it be with their teenager or adult or friend or coworker. And they're always like, do I need to pay you? So my job is an outreach coordinator. And so that's what I get paid to do, is outreach. And so that means that, I'm just kind of here as like, to help people as they need it. And so that's kind of, I have a great job. That's what I get paid to do, to help people. And so I'm really blessed with that. So
right. And so then the other organization you work for, is it kind of the same type?
So I was working with Wichita Mountains Prevention Network. I don't work for them anymore. I work with them still. So they have they do prevention. And so in Stevens County, they have the grant for opioid prevention. So I don't know if people remember, but like a few years ago, opioid prescribing, it was a huge problem, and they changed the prescribing laws. And so that's gotten tremendously better.
Right. And watch Dope Sick.
Yes.
If you're unfamiliar.
Yes.
That will open your eyes.
It's very realistic too, because people ask me if that's real, and it is. It's very real. And so I work with them a lot. And so they have, I'll just do a little shout out. They have free for Stevens County residents, and also Jefferson County. We work with the hospital, and they purchase some lock boxes for us to be able to give to them too. But they have free lock boxes. They're free. You just have to call and ask for one. And then they also have like disposal kits that are free. And so I wish I would have brought one. They're like little pouches that you can pour your old prescriptions in and add water, and it deactivates the meds, so you can throw them in the trash without having to worry.
Oh,
so yeah.
Wow.
So it's free. And lock boxes are kind of expensive. So if anyone needs a lock box.
And why would someone need a lock box?
Yeah. So the reason they go with the grant is to encourage people to keep their prescriptions locked up. One, to keep them out of the reach of children, but full transparency, the second one would be to keep them out of the reach of people like me when I was not sober. Because if I was in your home, I was probably in your kitchen or bathroom looking for meds. And so, it just makes it more difficult. Because they would have to steal the whole lockbox, not just a few pills. So kind of just to prevent them from being diverted. And, I know some people use other substances. If they're not ready to get sober, we would never want kids to get a hold of that. So really, it's just to add a barrier, you know what I mean? To keep it safe and out of the reach of children.
One extra layer of protection.
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
And so if someone felt like they needed or wanted one of those things, one of these disposal pouches or a lockbox, what would they do?
So I'm going to give you the phone number of someone you can call.
Okay.
They won't care. And also I'll say RNS number 3, Bakers, Homeland, all the RNSs, also Thompson's and Newberry Pharmacy. They all have signs in there with the phone numbers on them about the lock boxes too. The hospital pharmacy does too, but I know it's kind of like hidden in the basement. But Brian Webb and also Gina Olheiser, they both are working that grant. And Brian's phone number is 580-251-0992. And I know he would be happy to get you one, or you can call me and I'll connect them to the right person. And I'll give out all my contact info later too, if that would be easier.
Emery's putting that information in the comments section right now on the Facebook feed. So yeah, that will be there for people to be able to access. So, so you work with that organization that provides those things. And so is Ambrosia then your main?
So it's my full-time job, but I also, I think it's been about 5 years ago. It's crazy because it doesn't feel like it's been that long. My mom and I started a support group for people that have someone in their life that's struggling with drugs or alcohol. And also, I also have families that come that just have kids that are struggling with mental health or, you know, behavioral challenges. And so that's a free group. It's open to the public. It's mostly parents that come, but I have some spouses. I have some kids that have parents that are struggling that come. I've had teenagers come, which is always cool. So it's always good to be around people because you don't feel like you're alone. You're not alone, but sometimes I think just being reminded. And so
what's that called?
It's called Hope First.
Okay. I was just reading some information about that. Did you have a meeting this week?
We did. We meet the second and fourth Monday of each month at First Baptist Church in Duncan. There's a room down there called the First Place Room, and we meet in there. And I'll give you my phone number now in case I forget. Is that okay? Because you can call me if you have questions about that. So I have a weird phone number, 940-597-0955.
And that's Stephanie, you know, spell that. Okay. Morcom, Morcom.
I think he knows mine.
Oh, okay. All right. So this Hope First, this sounds like a really great place. For a real, you and your mom are meeting a very real need.
Yes, ma'am.
In the community by providing this place, a safe place.
Yeah.
For people to come and talk.
Yeah. And so my mom used to say she wished we had something like that when I was struggling, because, you know, my dad's on staff at a church. But even if that wasn't the case, so I have a little over 8 years sober, but even 8 years ago, and even today still, there's still a stigma. Like people are embarrassed, you know what I mean? And look, like I was in jailbirds, like I was causing chaos, like it's, you know, it can be embarrassing or shameful, or you as a parent or a spouse, or even kids feel like this, like it's their fault. They did something, they could have stopped it, they could have changed it. And so they play that game, and that's just not true. I always say, if bad parenting caused drug addiction, everyone in the world would be a drug addict because there's not a perfect parent, like, you know, so it's not, you know, science has come. And so I always tell people that drug addicts aren't bad people trying to get good. They're sick people trying to get well. And so, you know, addiction now they say is a disease. And so, you know, in the beginning, it's always a choice, but we do cross a line to where our body becomes dependent on it. And then it's just trying to survive, much like dope sick, you know?
Yes.
So it's always a choice in the beginning. We make that choice. But everyone is different. And so some people may use for 10 years before they get addicted. Some people might only use 2 or 3 times. And it's just, there's no way to know.
Right. I've even heard like you're predisposed to have addictions.
Yes, ma'am.
And it could be, you know, there are all kinds of things people can become addicted to. But yeah, you know, there's a burden a family might carry and initially trying to keep it secret. This is our family thing. We don't want everybody to know. And then people find out, and then they take the blame, and it just perpetuates stress and anxiety and hurt and just, you know, you can just feel how heavy it becomes. And so something like Hope First sounds like just an amazing outlet.
And it's cool because most parents, when they come, like my parents enabled me for a long time until they figured out like that wasn't helping.
Mhm.
We don't want to love the person struggling to death. And by that, I mean, it's really common in the beginning to make excuses, or if they miss work, to call in sick for them, or to pay their bills, or bring them food, or give them a place to live. Like, we do all those things because that's the natural thing that parents do, right? Or that's what you do. But we can cross a line to where that's kind of perpetuating the addiction. But it's hard to know what your boundaries are.
Yes.
And so it's been incredible to watch families that were just go from one extreme, of enabling, and now they're in a healthy place. Because what usually happens is when the enabler or the person that's, helping them so much, they're being allowed to continue the cycle. When that person is kind of steps back, or that enabler is out of the picture, or it stops, the over helping stops, the person struggling gets better, because there's always someone helping us. So we want them to feel desperate enough, you know what I mean, to make a change.
Alone, where they can't depend on someone else to help them.
And that's hard. So it's been great to watch them change. And, it's kind of like there's a freedom when you learn that you don't have to be enslaved with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And,
and so in this group, these meetings, people are able, I guess it's a support group. So people are literally supporting each other with their experiences and their stories and just things like that. You are a professional in this field. Do you kind of lead the discussion, or does the discussion lead itself? Or,
that's it. So when we very first started, I had like work that we did every meeting. So in the beginning, there was only like 3 or 5. And now, sometimes if everyone came, I would have like over 30, but there's always stuff going on. So,
right.
But when everyone's there, I want everyone to have a chance to share what they've been struggling with. And so sometimes what I want to do, we kind of play it by ear. So I used to kind of always be the one to guide the conversation, but now I have some families that have been coming for 3 or 4 years, and they've been through it. And so they can help the next person. And I think honestly, it's more helpful when they're able to talk to someone that's been through it. Right. Much like someone struggling with mental health or addiction or anything, would rather talk to someone who's been there and been through it, because they feel like other people that haven't been don't understand. Right. I think that applies to a lot of things. So they help each other.
Right. And isn't that, all the struggles and all the things we experience in our lives, to be able to take that experience and meet someone where they are totally understanding everything, and to just develop that trust and that relationship, and then be able to help someone else through it. It makes everything that you went through worthwhile.
Yeah, like it has
it has a purpose, and that's just the benefit. If you can get through it, because it can sound trite.
Yeah, and it's always hard in the beginning, but like I've learned, when they used to tell me all the time when I got sober, our secrets keep us sick. And there's truth to that, I think, with anything. Like, the things we hide create shame creates anxiety and depression and all kinds of things. Right. And so I think when you're able to talk about it, even within a group, and nothing ever leaves the group. I don't even have to say that. They just I've never, in all the years we've been doing it, I've never had an issue where someone was talking about someone else. Right. It's like we're a family. Right. But I think it loses its power. You know what I mean? When you kind of own it and use it to help someone else. Yes. You know what I mean? It's not a shameful thing anymore.
Right. Right. And that's one thing I'd love to hear you just be able to speak so matter-of-factly about the things that you
can ask me anything you want. Like, I would never I don't get offended.
Right. So. But that taking all of that and just making it matter of fact and stripping the emotion off of it makes it something that people can see as, this is a fact. This is just a fact of it. It doesn't have any you don't have to attach those emotions to it. And when you look at it like that, that problem is a lot easier to solve.
Sure, sure.
And so I really appreciate the way that you will, that you talk about
Thank you.
things like that, Stephanie. I think it's very helpful for people.
You know, so when we first get sober, and it's like this with anything, it's hard because you still feel embarrassed and you know what I mean? Like, oh, great, all this stuff I've done. But, you know, I have never met anyone that's like gotten sober, was in recovery, was like living, like, you know, doing the next right thing, whatever that is for them, you know, that regrets, you know, all of this stuff, because it kind of makes you into who you are.
Right.
And, you know, to be honest, the people I know in recovery are the most honest, hardworking, like dependable people, because they have that appreciation for a second chance. And like my life, I regret hurting people and some of the things I've done, of course. Like I wouldn't go back and hurt anyone again.
Right.
But I wouldn't change. I don't think I would change anything, because it's led me to, my life is better now than it's ever been. Plus, like I'm not embarrassed about the stuff I've done, because I can say, like, if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have helped this person or this person. And, you know, hopefully it's like you know, like a fire that spreads.
Yes.
I mean, you know, we just help the next person.
Right.
So,
right. So, talking a little bit about ambrosia, I think it's interesting that what you do, it's called outreach, because whenever I hear the word outreach, I don't think about, you know, someone stepping in and helping someone else. I mean, I don't know what else you would call it. But when I saw that, I thought outreach, is it outreach coordinator? I thought, is that the description of what she does? I don't know. It just seemed like the wording was not exactly what you do.
No, it probably isn't.
You know, so for anyone else who hears that, I mean, you have said that you help people, but kind of give some examples of some of the some specific ways that you are able to help people. Because ambrosia, I mean, I'm sure you're not the only
there's tons of people like
you know,
me.
This is and so what you do, other people are doing too. And so just kind of describe.
So I work for a treatment center that's out of state, but like our company policy is no matter who calls, we'll help them. So I have a lot of room to be able to do that. And so the kind of stuff I typically do is, for the most part, it's my phone rings a lot from, it could be hospitals, doctors, parents, teachers, therapists, probation and parole, the courts, like the jail. I mean, the gamut is really wide. Usually it's a call either from someone that's struggling that wants help, or a family member, parent, or, you know, concerned other that's worried about someone in their life and wants them to get help. So, you know, and the help doesn't always look like they go to treatment either. So sometimes I might help them find a counselor that works for them. You know, counselors are full right now. So that's been, you know, I've had to kind of learn how to navigate some of that stuff. Or, you know, a lot of times it's just kind of connecting. I'm like a bridge, I guess. Like I connect people to the right resources. You know, sometimes it's frustrating if you want help, if you have sooner care, you don't have insurance, because you can call and you feel like you don't get anywhere. I've just learned like exactly what you need to do. And so a lot of times I'm just able to get someone to that person so that they can, because it's very defeating if you've been trying to get help and you've called 20 places and you can't get anybody to help you. And so that's really what I do. Is it's people that, you know, sometimes people call me because, you know, they're having a mental health crisis, or their child is, or, you know, maybe they are schizophrenic or bipolar and they need to be stabilized, or they're having suicidal thoughts or self-harming, or struggling with alcohol or drugs. And, you know, sometimes that looks like detox, you know, where they just go, and detox is you know, it's 3 to 10 days. And it's just like a medical process of making sure that we're ridding the body of the substance safely. You know, sometimes they just need to see a certain kind of doctor, or need to know where they can go to get back on their meds, or they do need to go to treatment. So it really I try to do what's best for that person.
Right.
I don't ever push what I think they need because I've learned that doesn't really work. Like, so sometimes they have to start, you know, at the lowest level and work their way up. And I think that's reasonable. Or sometimes people just call me because they want to know where the AA meetings are. So it's kind of a
so
wide.
You're like the yellow pages.
Yes, I'm the yellow pages for mental health and addiction. Yeah.
Well, that's good because I mean, they're really to have all of that information readily available for someone. What a help, because like you said, sometimes these situations need immediate help.
Yeah, the window of opportunity is very short, especially if you have someone that's like ready.
Yes.
Like you might not have 2 or 3 days. Like
they'll change their mind or something will happen.
Or they start feeling sick and they, you know, got to get another fix.
Yeah.
And, you know, I also do a lot of, this is one of my favorite things to do is like get to speak. So I have the opportunity to speak with like Parents Helping Parents, which is kind of like Hope First, but it's just a lot bigger. And, you know, speaking at schools with high school students and stuff like that. I always love doing that because I've been really passionate about helping adolescents right now because I feel like there's a gap. They are falling between the cracks.
Right.
And they're struggling. Yeah. You know what I mean? Suicide is the #1 cause of death for, I think it's ages 10 to 44 in the state of Oklahoma. And it's been that way for the last few years, which is terrifying.
Wow.
And so
age 10, man.
And I'm sure it was just 1 or 2, but it's still like, yeah, you know, and overdoses are starting to like, you know, gain on that. And it's just, I think I think maybe COVID, them being taken out of a lot of kids like school is a safe place. And so, you know, unfortunately they were taken out of that. Luckily in Oklahoma, it wasn't as long as some places. But I think that's just a lot, you know, and it's hard being a teenager anyway. I wouldn't go back to it, but I couldn't imagine being a teenager in today's social media world.
Yeah. It's so much.
Yeah.
It is so much. And, just, I don't know, just thinking about, just right here in Duncan, there are so many, I'll just say like 10 to 18-year-olds in Duncan, just the kids, that population who are invisible to so many people. When you say fall through the cracks, they have fallen through the cracks and they are somewhere under the floorboards. I mean, people just don't even see them. And it breaks my heart, you know, to know that there are kids who they struggle every day with things that, I mean, my kids would have never even had that thought pass through their head.
Or they wouldn't have even have known about it.
You know, just, and it's just, I just think it's really good. I'm glad you're here because I like to continually raise awareness.
There's something I was going to read to you guys, but I want to make sure I say it right. So I'm going to find it. But I think there's a few girls that I used to meet with weekly. Luckily, they're in treatment. I was just trying to be like support for them until they got there. And I had one tell me that she saw someone commit suicide on TikTok. And that's true. Like the stuff that they see, like it like in my head, I'm like, how is that even okay? But like there's so much stuff they're exposed to, like they shouldn't even know about.
Exactly.
You know, there's things that kids at 12 know that I didn't even know till I was like 20.
Yes.
You know, because my parents didn't want to talk to me about that, which was probably the right thing. But now it's hard because you kind of have to talk to your kids because they might see it on TikTok, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I always thought innocence was a thing worth protecting. And, you know, I still think that is true. I think that innocence is a precious thing and we give it up too easily. We're way too willing to shrug our shoulders and say, oh, it's just, they're just being kids. But it's not. And once it's gone, there's no getting it back.
Well, and I read the scary thing is like with all the fentanyl and stuff and all that fear, you know, like when I was growing up, like we could use and feel sick and still be okay. Like the experimenting was not good or safe even,
Right.
but it was tremendously safer than it is today. Experimenting today for a kid might look like it kills them.
Right.
And that's terrifying.
Right.
You know?
I'm the fentanyl thing makes me, it gives me anxiety. I watched some program and there was an interview with someone, he was a dealer and he was mixing his own, you know, fentanyl and just one tiny little bit too much. Makes those pills deadly.
It's like a speck of salt, like a grain of salt.
Yes.
Like that small of an amount.
And his mixture got on the streets and he was in prison and killed 26 people. And he said, you know, I mean, I was just doing, it was business.
Yeah.
It was just business. And I thought, first of all, it makes my heart hurt to think that's his worldview, is that the lives of people didn't matter. It was just business. So whatever happened to him that made him so, you know, hard-hearted, but then all of those people and now fentanyl is everywhere. Everywhere. You guys, on Stephanie's Facebook page, she posted pictures of some little blue.
It really wasn't even that little. It was about the size of like a sweet tart.
Okay, because I know you said it looked like kind of like candy.
It was blue, and it even had the press pills even looked like. So a good thing to know is like fake pills will never have the coating. You know how a pill you get at the pharmacy has like a little coating on it.
Right.
Those won't. So they look very chalky because I don't think dealers have learned how to put coating on pills yet. I mean, I don't know how far they are down the line from that, but you know, that's a good way to know. But yeah, it was like a pale blue. It looked like, if I didn't know what it was or what I was looking for, I would have thought it.
And it had like the Superman
perfect
insignia on it. So, I mean, whoever made those, who are they hoping gets them?
Well,
you know, I mean, I don't know. My mind just cannot wrap itself around why that would be a targeted group of people.
Well, and the scary thing is like if a child, like, you know, like a preschool or kindergarten or even elementary school child, and even anyone really, but a kid that's never put anything in their body like that, they probably would have thought it was a piece of candy and tried to eat it, and it could have killed them because there's no way their body would have been able to tolerate that. So I found it. I knew what the person's symptoms or their behaviors were. I have fentanyl test strips, so I tested it, and it was positive for fentanyl. So I'm sure that they thought they were buying ecstasy or MDMA, but it was laced with fentanyl. And I don't know that they even knew that.
Right. I mean, I can't imagine anyone would buy that on purpose.
Sure.
You know, but it's just the fact that drug is here in Duncan. And you know, there's so many things that we need to be aware of. And I don't know if everybody.
And it's not going to go anywhere. So if you look at California and like Florida and New York, they've been dealing with this for a long time, like Oregon on the coast, like their overdose rates are like through the roof. So it just takes a while for it to start moving in. And now we have it also moving up. And so I don't think this is a problem that's going to get better anytime soon. Like this is just like the tip of the iceberg, which is why it's good to be, I think parents are sometimes, or even teachers or anyone, they're afraid to talk about it. They're afraid to ask about it because they're afraid I'll put the idea in their head or I'll, you know, push them to do it. Because I have parents that don't want to talk to their, you know, kids who are adults that are using because they're afraid they'll make it worse. There's like, I want to remind you, you're not that powerful. Like there's nothing that you can say or do that's going to make someone decide to stop using drugs or start using drugs. You know, I think that's something maybe we tell ourselves. Now, I'll tell you, I used to tell my parents all the time that it was their fault this happened or that happened, but that was me manipulating them. And I could probably have 100 people just like me tell you the same thing. We just know we know what to say to mom or dad to get what we need.
Right.
You know, like we
Right.
know that from the time
Hey,
we're
I was
what,
gonna say,
toddlers.
little kids. know
Yeah,
how
don't
to
ask
do that.
mom this, she'll say no, ask dad. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think it's good to have those conversations, because I've had families call me with their kid who the kid thought they were taking a Xanax and it was fentanyl or Adderall. It's been found in every pain pill out there. It's been made, you know, laced into those. But I've even like had reports of it being in weed. Probably not that's being bought at a dispensary, but if you're buying weed from a dealer, like you don't know. Like there's no way to know unless, you know, you're testing it really.
Right.
Which is terrifying.
Yes, it is. Wow. Wow. Did you find that thing that you were?
Yeah. So I was pulling some like numbers. And so Oklahoma does the Oklahoma Prevention Needs Assessment. I think they do it every other year. And so it's just kind of like, it's a little telling. It might be kind of sad, but in that survey, 45% of Stevens County youth reported low family attachment, meaning like half of our kids don't have like a good attachment with their family. And that's important, right? Because if you're struggling or something's going on, you know, and you need people to notice when you're not okay. And then 53% of Stevens County youth reported little to no interaction with pro-social peers. So like half of our youth aren't interacting with good peers that are, you know, being, you know, that are pro-social, that are active, doing healthy things. And, you know, Oklahoma ranks 41 out of 50 states for individuals that receive consistent substance abuse. So this is the scary part. So this is the gap I'm talking about. So this is according to the Department of Mental Health. So there are 650 individuals between the ages of 0 and 17 in Stevens County in need of substance abuse treatment. Only 10 of those will receive services. So there's a 98% gap in substance abuse treatment for kids 0 to 17. Which is crazy. And I mean, that could fluctuate as far as the numbers, but that's just an idea. And mental health isn't a lot better. It's about like, I think 50%, it's like half. But part of the reason is we don't have the services.
Right. So you said 650. So if you think about it, like every high school class, we have about 250 kids in your class, Emery.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, that's been pretty consistent for a long time. Every class has about 250 kids in it. So that's just in Duncan. And all of the other towns in Stevens County are much smaller than Duncan. So you're talking, that could potentially be an entire age group of kids, like
from 9th all the way to 12th grade, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, how that blows my mind that there are that many kids who need help.
And a lot of that, and I'm super grateful. I'm going to be a part of an interim study with Senator Garvin in October to address this. Like part of the problem with that is this. We don't have a detox in the state of Oklahoma for minors. So if you call me with your 14-year-old who's using fentanyl and needs to go to detox, then I'm going to have to probably send them to Texas or somewhere else. But that's if they have private insurance. So we got to get, you know, so if Sooner Care pays for it, we have to have providers in the state that will do it.
Right.
But even outside of that, we only have 2 treatment facilities and you have to want to go to them.
Here in Oklahoma. And that's for adults.
For minors.
Oh, for
minors. So we have one in
Norman,
Children's Recovery Center, and then we have Tulsa Boys Home.
Wow.
But the child has to want to be there. Well, that probably takes out the vast majority because most adults don't want to go to treatment. So there's going to be some pushback. So we just need, you know, hopefully with the interim study, we can show that we need more services, but we also need Sooner Care to like be able to reimburse for those services so we can get people to provide them.
Right.
But even after that, if I get those 10 kids to treatment and they come back to Duncan, there's no outpatient programming for them. So essentially we're just tossing them back into the environment they came out of and like wishing them luck. So Like, we really need to be providing the services they need to be able to maintain sobriety.
Wow.
Because my opinion is that the end of all this craziness is going to have to end with our kids. Like, the cycle is going to have to stop.
Right.
Like, we
Right.
can't keep perpetuating it.
Right.
But if we empower them, like, I can come and talk to your high school kids, but man, if another high school kid goes and talks to them, that's a lot more powerful.
Right.
I mean, peers always listen to their peers more. So if I could just get some kids sober and healthy and supported, I think they could change a lot of stuff just with like them.
Right. I was at a meeting
For
on
free.
Friday. I was at a meeting on Friday and someone was talking about teenagers and she called them the influencers. She said, they're the influencers. They're the ones who can have that impact on the other teenagers.
Yeah.
And I loved that.
And they
so
know what the
much.
other teenagers will like listen to.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So I think it would be like, I would love to see the high schools and stuff like, you know, help support, you know, see some students like want to start some kind of, you know, student-led, you know, group of some kind where they could like, you know, other students could feel comfortable coming and talking to them and just where they felt safe and so kind of like Hope First, but for kids, you know, and have the support from the school for them to be able to do that. I think they would, but you know, I think I have some students in mind to do it, but there's that fear still, you know what I mean? But I think, man, like, I think it would change a lot of things if we empowered our kids to kind of, I think they want to be responsible. It's funny because I've been in so many meetings where they're like, well, we can't do that. Kids won't listen to us. I don't think that's true because every time I get a call from a parent that's like, will you talk to my 15 or 16-year-old? Like, as soon as the parent gets up and walks away from us, they like vomit on me.
Right.
I think they want to be heard, just not maybe from their parents, like, you know, how it is with teenagers and parents.
Right.
I think they want to be heard. I think they want to, you know, be heard and seen, you know, like you were saying, and they want their opinion to be heard. I think we project a lot of things onto them. There's these question cards I did with some of the girls in high school that I was meeting with every week. And it was very insightful. I'll post the questions because it would be fun for you to do with your own kids. But it was like, what do you think is the like something that my generation doesn't understand about your generation? What are your fears of the future? What do you think about social media? Like, is it good or bad? And every girl that I asked about social media told me they thought it was terrible. But they're still on it. There's like a social pressure, but they would say things like, there's pressure to be perfect. There's a lot of bullying. Like, I don't even know if they like it. It will be interesting to see when they're adults and have children, if they even let their kids be on it, because I think they know it's not good. That's just society. So it's very interesting.
It is interesting. Wow.
I'll have to post the questions like on my page or something.
That would be, yeah, that would be really something interesting to do. I know some kids I'd like to.
I think it would like, I think you would be like, whoa, I didn't even know that.
You know, it's like, I think a lot of kids just want to know that you sincerely are listening and you're not formulating an answer or you know, an objection or whatever. You're just listening.
Yeah. And they don't want you to fix it. Like,
right.
I have a hard time when someone comes to me with something of not doing that, because I want to like, well, what can I do to help?
Yeah.
But sometimes people just want to be heard. You know what I mean? Like, they don't need you to tell them how to fix it. They don't need you to fix it. But I think we could be empowering our kids a lot more. You know what I mean? Like empowering them to stand up for themselves, to ask for what they need, instead of us rushing in to do it for them, because we're handicapping them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, but you know, I think we have a lot of really smart kids, but I do feel like a lot of times we make decisions based on our assumption of what kids would like. We don't want to start this group, nobody would come. Well, but
don't know.
My experience has been that kids, maybe I just seem like a cool person to dump all your stuff on. But I've never had a problem like with a kid, and they don't even have to get to know me first, which tells me they're craving to just be listened to.
Right. So with your, the organization, with working with Ambrosia, and you said that you used to work with another group, and now you guys.
Wichita Mountain Prevention Network.
Okay, so now you're they're like a resource for you. Are there other organizations that are nearby that are resources for you or for families? And we're kind of leading up to this thing that's going to happen in a couple of weeks. So kind of talk about some of these other groups around that are here to help.
So I work with a lot of the agencies around here. You know what I mean? I'm on the board at Safe Center. Honestly, that interacts with, it intertwines with mental health and substance abuse too. But Marie Deddy is one organization I work with a lot.
And they're out of Lawton?
They do. They're out of Lawton, but they have an office in Duncan.
Oh, do they? Okay.
And they have some really cool programs. They have therapists for kids, adolescents, and adults for mental health, substance abuse. They do the drug court stuff. So if you're in drug court, that's where they have it. But they do mentoring. So, and it's free. The parent has to agree to sign up. And it's different than One True Light. I'm in that too, and I love it. But in the fact that it's a therapist, right? So there's a mentor, and I think it's more intense. So if there's a kid that's maybe not making great decisions and they just kind of need, some guidance, the people that do it are like therapists. And I know Marie Deddy goes into the schools and does counseling. And so they're a good resource because they can work with people across the demographics as far as having insurance. They take sooner care, and they have, ways to be able to help people, whether they have finances or not. So they're a huge one. I work with probably every counseling agency in town just because I'm always calling, looking for openings. We need more therapists. I don't know if any of you are in college, but therapists and psychiatrists and nurses seem to be sparse right now. Wow. Maybe they're burnout, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, and I mean, we did see that with nurses after COVID, or even in the midst of COVID, it was just overwhelming.
Yeah. So. Some more are Celebrate Recovery. They have free, it's the same steps as AA. It's just a different way to do it. And a lot of people really like it. They're like a family. And, we also have Agape Ministries, which is a sober living. Oh no, Siri's listening to me. Sorry, guys. I don't know how that happened. We have Agape Ministries in town, which they have sober living for men. We have Heather's Hope in Comanche, which does sober living for women. I mean, really, I kind of work with so many. Duncan Behavioral Health is a place I use a lot because they can do outpatient addiction treatment, and they can manage meds. And I mean, we have a lot of great resources around here. It's not as bad as people think it is. I just think that sometimes it's easy to forget what's here. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and unless you have that need in your life, there's no reason like that. At this point in my life, I haven't had a reason to know and search out help from any of those places. So I would be one of the people who would be like, oh, I had no idea, that there was so much available.
And we have Taliaferro too. Taliaferro and Lawton has a satellite office in Duncan, which is also helpful. And they have free Narcan at Taliaferro, but just recently I got approved to be a Narcan hub. So if anybody ever needs it, I can get it for them. I have it at my office. And just so people know, Narcan it's a nose spray. I should have brought one of those too. I didn't know we were going to talk about all this, so I'm sorry. But Narcan is it's a nose spray. It's like one squirt in the nostril. It reverses the effects of an opioid overdose. So a lot of people say, I don't have kids that use drugs, or I don't use drugs, I don't need it. But I've Narcan strangers at Walmart before, not in Duncan, but other towns. I've Narcan someone on the side of the road before, and it saved their life. So it will not hurt someone if you give it to them and they didn't have an overdose, but it could save their life. And so I have some info on what the warning signs of an overdose are, but it doesn't, I feel like everyone in the country should just have it in their car at this point.
Wow,
it doesn't hurt anything.
Right.
Definitely the schools need to have it because, nobody ever does it intentionally. It's usually,
Do the schools?
So I know, we're working on that. So, and you're not going to get sued if you give it to someone.
That's
The
what I was just
Good
wondering.
Samaritan law.
Okay, what
like-
kind of repercussions could come from it?
And they passed a law so that, like we could be able to give it out. So it used to be like with a prescription. And the state even sent me fentanyl test strips to give to, people that aren't ready to get sober. So at least they can know that the stuff they're using isn't laced with fentanyl. I mean, it's not ideal. Like, I don't love it, but like, if I can keep someone alive, I can save their life. If they're dead,
Right.
I have no choice.
Eventually, you'll be able to do something. So I have a question, and this may be an opinion thing for you, but on that show Dope Sick, and I've read some other books and things about people who have had these really serious addictions. There are some insurances would not cover help at some treatment centers because the patient is given another kind of drug to it gets them off of the like the heroin or opioid or whatever. It gets them off of that, but then they're kind of addicted to whatever that is. It's just a milder, I don't even know for sure what it is.
So we call it medication assisted treatment.
Okay.
So MAT or MAT for short. There's so many acronyms. I always try to say them. So MAT medications are medications like Suboxone, Subutex, methadone.
Methadone, that's the one I was thinking of.
And so methadone, I don't see methadone used as much anymore. So SAMHSA and the best practices are that if someone is an opioid user or has opioid use disorder, like me, that was my drug of choice. That's what I struggle with. They will, no matter what, to detox them, they're going to use a medication like Suboxone to detox them because it helps with the withdrawal symptoms, the cravings. And so they would be on that in detox. That's kind of the standard protocol. And so, I went to treatment 7 times. I was on and off Suboxone, different stages. I have seen people be successful and people not be successful on it. The difference is this, you can't just, if you're ready to get sober, you're ready to do all the work that comes with getting sober. So MAT is medicated assisted treatment. So you're not just giving up the dope and getting a prescription. That's just trading.
Right.
It's supposed to come with other things like drug tests, accountability, therapy, or, inpatient treatment or outpatient, going to AA meetings, working the steps, working with a sponsor, it should be within recovery. So the doctors that I use that do MAT, they're committed to the client, their patient. So they get drug tested. And if they're failing their drug test, then I usually will get a call and I put them in treatment. And that's just, which is okay. Because we're not just, keeping the addiction ongoing. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But, if someone is just using that to avoid having to do the work on the inside. So look, drugs aren't the problem, we're the problem.
Yeah.
So we use drugs to deal with ourselves or our issues. You have to get to the root cause of it. And usually it's underlying mental health, trauma. I mean, I grew up in a great family, but I still had trauma just from the life I was living. But, I had to learn to be okay with me. I used drugs because it made it easier. So drugs are always the symptom. It's not ever the problem. Because you can take the alcohol or drugs away from somebody and they still be the same terrible person that they were when they were using. They're just meaner. That's what happens. So there's a difference between just being dry or sober and being recovered. So, my experience is that, people, especially people that are IV users or, on heroin or fentanyl, if it will keep them alive long enough to work through recovery and get through treatment and do that hard work, it just needs to be with someone that knows what they're doing and isn't just passing it out like candy.
So
you know what I mean?
Yes. So does insurance, does it, the certain insurances will cover treatment with that?
So
because that was part of the issue of why some people couldn't get that as a help, was because of it's okay. Was, insurance was a kind of a barrier there.
So I will tell you, I work for Ambrosia. We do MAT, but we use Sublocade, and it's Suboxone, but it's a shot that lasts in your body for like 28 days. So you can't sell it. You can't take too much. Like, it's just safer,
Very
right?
much more control.
So, and insurance covers it. So it's kind of standard practice that those medicines are used. I don't see methadone prescribed in treatment centers, though. We do have clinics. Some of the clinics can be a little bit of a challenge, though, because usually they're cash pay only. You have to go every day. And we don't even have a methadone clinic here. You know what I mean? So you would have to go to Lawton, and they still do the groups and stuff. But, it's, man, I'll tell you this, it's hard to get someone off methadone. It's a very, very hard to come off of, because the half-life is so long. So I get a lot of calls from people that want to go to treatment or get off of it, and they're taking like, 200 milligrams or 150 milligrams a day of methadone, or even 240 I got a call from. So I can't even get them into detox unless they're at 40 milligrams. And to drop that low could take months and months and months.
Oh, wow. Because
it could make you, I had a lady just stop taking her, and she went into a catatonic state. Like, it was not okay. And so that's just a medication that you can only ever go up on meds, right? Like, you don't want to be on the highs.
Right.
And so it's just a medication that takes a very long time to come off of. So it's very hard for me to put them in treatment.
Right. So Stephanie, do you have a degree, a college degree?
I have my bachelor's in behavioral health. I started my master's because I wanted to be a drug and alcohol counselor, but instead I got certified. So I'm a certified case manager interventionist, and I'm also an Arise interventionist intern until November 1st. And then I'll be completely like just an Arise interventionist. So that's kind of the schooling I've had.
Okay. Because, I mean, I know you have experiences, but I just wondered if those experiences kind of directed the path that you took for what you wanted to study and what you're doing with your life now. That was something that was like the outcome of all of your recovery.
I've always kind of worked in the helping profession. I used to be an assisted living administrator, and I love that. Like, I like helping people. But when I went to treatment for the last time, my parents were like, I don't know what you're going to do, but you can't come back here. So I went to sober living in Texas, and I was miserable for the first 60 days. I was there and I hated it. And my plan was to leave on day 89 at midnight, because I only had to stay 90 days. But, something clicked in me, and I ended up living there for almost 2 years, and I kind of went to work with them. I moved back to Oklahoma, went to work for Hope is Alive Ministries, helped open their women's program. And then after that, I went to work for Ambrosia. And so, I just really liked, working in the field with other people. And honestly, it helps me more to help somebody than it probably helps them.
Right.
I never forget how miserable I was, because I'm reminded of it. I think a lot of times when we get sober, our life gets better. We get our families back. Like, life is good. We forget how miserable you were 10 years ago. And we don't ever want to, you can't forget it, because you don't want to go back there.
Right. So did you have your degree then?
I did.
You were still not recovered?
I graduated from college in 2005, and I got sober in 2014.
Okay. So that continued long after. So
I thought about finishing my master's. That's something I started when I got sober, though. And I thought about going to seminary to be a missionary, but I felt like I was like, you can be a missionary in your backyard. You don't have to go to Africa.
Right.
And honestly, I probably help more people, just by being here.
Right.
So,
right.
And it's really rewarding. It's frustrating too. It's hard sometimes to see someone, not want it. But man, like, when someone does, like, it's always worth it.
Right.
Right.
So you were talking about Marie Daddy and some of these other agencies. You guys are coming together on September the 29th for an event at Fuquay Park.
Yes,
Why don't
ma'am.
you tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that?
So it's called Recovery is Possible. It's from 6 to 8 at Fuquay Park. If the weather is bad, we will move it to Connection Church on Highway 81. But we're gonna have, I think it'll be pretty cool when you guys see part of the speakers. There's several of us that we didn't know it, but we're all connected and all of our stories intertwined. And it's one person help this person, help this person.
Oh my goodness.
And so we'll kind of have like maybe a progressive testimony. And then Christy Luther is also coming to speak. She's phenomenal. And so we're going to have a lot of people that have resource tables there. We have tons and tons of like door prizes and drawings to give away. I can tell you what a few of them are. We have the best community, like
right.
We do, like they're the best.
Absolutely. So supportive of events like this.
And so I think the people who should attend, if you're in recovery, are thinking about getting sober, if you love someone that's struggling, or you just want to kind of learn more about it, I think it would be a good thing for anyone to come to. You're not going to feel judged. You're not going to feel pushed. We'll have a lot of different, organizations there with information about what they do and the services they offer. I'll have a table. I'll bring Narcan there too, just in case people want any. But Viridian has a gift basket. Distinctive Decor gave us a $100 gift card. The French Hens, a candle. Marlowe Nutrition, Johnny's, Sally's. And that's like a small part of the list. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm excited.
That's so great. I hope it's a wonderful evening. The weather's been kind of nice in the evenings lately. And so that's
Maybe
2
it'll
weeks
cool
from
off.
today.
Yes, it is.
And you said from 6 to 8?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's not too long. Like I've learned, like people won't sit and listen that long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
can say it,
Mhm.
and it won't be speaking the whole time. I would say the majority of the time will be people, walking around, getting to know each other. But I think it's a good time to get to know people, especially, I'll tell you this, if you're new to this area and you're sober and you need to make some friends that are like us, if you will,
Mhm.
I think that would be a good event to come
Oh,
to.
absolutely. How, like, you could still be very anonymous. If you felt the need to stay anonymous, you could just wander
Mhm.
up there. It's right on the highway.
Yeah.
Fuquay Park is right there. It's not like you couldn't just drive by and see it and
Yeah.
say, oh, what's this? You know,
Run to
or-
Homeland and come
right,
over.
exactly. So what a great point. That's a really good idea.
I'm excited, and they'll have lock boxes there. I know Wichita Mountains will bring lock boxes and stuff. So it might just be, it's always good to come and learn, right? We don't know it all. It's always good to continue learning.
Right.
So
For sure. Well, Stephanie, you've been such a wealth of information for us today. I'm so grateful for you for coming on Trail Talk. And listen, if you guys have questions, you have Stephanie's number, you have Brian's number. You've heard the information. You can contact us here at the Heritage Center if you want to know more. We will put the details about the event in Fuquay Park. What'd you say it's called?
recovery is possible.
Recovery is possible. What a great.
And thank you for
helpful
letting me come. Like, it's always an honor. I could talk about a million things for hours. But I'm always available. I don't ask questions and keep my mouth closed. So if you're worried or you just want to talk about options, you can call me. It'll stay with me. And thank you for the opportunity. Like, this is a great thing. I love you guys are doing this.
Well, this is fun. It's one of my favorite things that we get to do. I've met so many wonderful people and had so many really informative interviews, to just give people the things that are practical.
Yeah.
Practical help, so that's wonderful. Well, listen, when we sign off, we always say happy trails.
Okay.
All right. So you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Happy
Happy trails.